Hello, students. I apologize that I'm not here today. Here's a video that explains today's content and today's assignment. So the starter question is, why are you choosing to take debate class? And I can explain why we should study debate. And so just a reminder for you, turn in your signed disclosures in Mr. Klett's basket on his desk. And I've told you this is a 100% Canvas course and I don't take paper. This is the only exception to that. I think this will be the only paper you turn in this class. And so just turn it into the metal basket because I just have to have your parent's signature on a physical copy paper for the disclosure for this class. Okay, challenges with debate. Debate is challenging. Debate can be overwhelming. Sometimes you might feel swamped or drowning in paper and in ideas. We don't do paper, but maybe electronic documents. This is an excerpt from one of the speeches that they used in policy one year. It's going to challenge your ability to comprehend. And an opponent would read this pretty quick. The first advantage is stopping the humanitarian crisis. The Saudi coalition uses U.S. weapons to commit war crimes in Yemen. New arms cells will be used to directly kill thousands of civilians. Larson 19. Trump is preparing to make a bogus emergency declaration to get around congressional opposition to further arms sales to Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Trump is only using this loophole because he knows Congress will disapprove of the sale, said Murphy. It sets an incredible dangerous precedent that future presidents can use to sell. So that's, you may be like, what's going on? I don't really get it. On one level, it's really hard to comprehend some of this stuff, but on another level, it's actually quite simple. And once you learn the content, it's not that hard. So America was selling weapons to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is usually a force for stabilization in the region. They are a powerful country and they're trying to stabilize the country. But Saudi Arabia sometimes also is really harsh against another country called Yemen, where there's rebels, and they were using American weapons to attack people in Yemen. And so there's a little bit of, it's a question of what's the right thing to do. Do we supply Saudi Arabia with these weapons where they might not use them always the best way, but they will keep that area stabilized, or do we say, hey, you guys are dropping these bombs on people, so you need to stop, and we're not giving you any more weapons. And that might make Saudi Arabia really weak, and maybe Saudi Arabia would get attacked or have a civil war or something like that without our support. So on one level, it's really hard to comprehend, but as you study and you learn the content, it becomes easier. We already watched this video, but it just shows that these guys talk really fast and they're trying to overwhelm their components with evidence. And so that's another challenge with debate sometimes. That's mostly with policy. It'll require extra homework and studying. So if you want to do a really good job in the class, it takes going the extra mile. Maybe finding extra sources and practicing after school and other things to succeed. Debate class will be less structured. And this is just, if everyone's writing their own speech and there's 20 different speeches, then I've got to help individual students as best as I can. And I can't always tell all the students exactly what you need at the same time. And so I will go through those as fast as I can, give you individual feedback. But a lot of times, you're just going to have to read through your speech and make it as good as you can. And so that's debate class. Debate tournaments sometimes go late in the night. That's sometimes a challenge. Sometimes the judges are terrible. Sometimes you literally get a soccer mom who's never watched a debate competition, and she might be like, oh, that person is wearing a nice tie, or I really liked that argument they made, which might be totally irrelevant. And so that's just a reality, and it's a hard challenge with the debate. But there's a lot of strengths in debate as well. And here's the strengths. Number one, it teaches you how to think on your feet. Sometimes you can prepare, and this is one of the main things, is you prepare a lot, and then you might have to change things up. You improvise. Even if you have a memorized speech and you realize, my audience isn't even listening to me. You might have to do something in your speech to really get their attention, to keep them focused. So you got to think on your feet. Debates, you're constantly thinking on your feet because you have to adapt to their arguments and have counter arguments. Debate teaches you how to find reliable information. So, of course, not everything that Google tells you is true. Not everything that Google tells you is accurate. You've got to dig in deeper, look at where the source actually comes from. Google is not a source. Google just says whatever's online, and anyone can put anything online. And so that is hard to find reliable information. It teaches you to use reliable sources. So in this class, mostly we'll trust scientific studies. We'll trust major media news networks, and we will trust most university sources, researchers, think tanks. Most of these, the facts that they give are fairly accurate. Sometimes there's even the statistics they might give might be misleading, so we got to be careful for that too. But we're going to try to use reliable sources, eyewitness accounts that are from reliable sources. Debate teaches you to think critically, and so there might be something that someone will say, and you can question it. You'll be like, well, is that actually true? Is what this person's saying, and the evidence they use, does the evidence actually support their conclusion? So you got to think critically, question it. Debate teaches you to communicate. This is an important skill. Debate teaches you to see multiple sides of an issue. So if you're in LD and if you are in policy, LD is Lincoln Douglas, or policy, when we do those, you got to argue the AF and the neg. You got to argue for something and you got to argue against it. So you got to know both sides. And that's a really good skill to have, because then you're understanding why people are for it and why people are against it in the real world. So see both sides of an issue. Debate teaches you to see the weaknesses in other arguments. This is one of the most common that politicians use. We have an ad hominem attack. So some politician might make a good argument for a certain case about anything, and his opponents don't attack the argument, they just attack the person. And so ad hominem means to the person, and they're just like, oh, don't listen to this person, yada, 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 yada. So that's not really a good counter argument, just attack the person. You should attack the argument. Debate teaches you to refute and attack your opponent's arguments. So it's, to a degree, it's a boxing match, right? And you got to use the strongest words that are honest, clear, true words, and you got to argue against them. You can win tournaments. Do debate because you win tournaments. So we've had lots of Draper kids represent, winning lots of awards, and I think this one, our students won first place and third place in policy at the tournament. And so there's something to be proud of. No matter what you do in life, whether you're a teacher, doctor, lawyer, a salesman, you go into business, you go into research, whatever it is, debate can help you with the general skills you'll need in a career to analyze information, check your sources, reach conclusions, see both sides of an issue, and communicate and persuade people. These are life skills. And so I encourage students to take debate because of that. Speech and debate builds confidence, right? You're like, I've done this. I've spoke in front of people. I can do this. I can be successful doing this. And there's a lot of times in real life, maybe in your real career, maybe as a citizen activist or someone that you're arguing for a particular political solution, you need to get in front of people and you need to persuade people. So turn to a partner. From our discussion, what are challenges with debate and what are reasons why you should take debate and study debate?